In the year 2142, humanity had come a long way. After centuries of struggles and wars on Earth, they finally united under a single banner, the United Earth Federation. With advanced technology, they explored the stars, discovering countless alien races. Some were friendly, and others were hostile. However, the memory of the wars on Earth led humanity to develop a new weapon, a railgun that could fire projectiles at incredible speeds. It was designed to defend Earth from any threats that might come from the vastness of space. The main character of our story is Captain Mira Lennox, a skilled officer in the UEF Space Command. She was known for her tactical mind and courage in the face of danger. Along with her was Lieutenant Jace Reed, her close friend and a brilliant engineer. They worked together on the latest ship of the fleet, named the USS Titan. This ship was specially designed to be the first to test the new railgun technology. One quiet day in the control room of the USS Titan, Mira and Jace were preparing for the trial run. The ship was orbiting a small moon, far from any alien settlements. The crew buzzed around them, checking systems and running diagnostics. Mira felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This test was important not just for the UEF, but for humanity's position among the stars. "Are you sure everything is ready?" Mira asked Jace, glancing at the glowing screens. "Absolutely," Jace replied with a grin. "We're good to go, Captain. Just wait until you see this baby in action." With a nod, Mira gathered the crew. "Listen up, everyone. Today we test our railgun. This weapon is humanity's answer to any threats from deep space. Let's show the galaxy that we are not to be underestimated." The crew cheered, fueled by a sense of pride and determination. The moment had come. Mira took her seat in the command chair, and Jace activated the railgun systems. A countdown began on the main screen. 10, 9, 8. As the countdown reached 0, Jace pressed a button. In an instant, a loud bang echoed to the ship, followed by an immense flash of light. A projectile shot out from the railgun, speeding toward a distant target on the moon's surface. The crew stared at the screen, watching as the projectile hit the designated spot. It created a massive explosion, sending dust and rock high into the air. Cheers erupted in the control room, but Myra's eyes remained fixed on the screen. She had an uneasy feeling that something had changed. Suddenly, the ship's communication systems lit up. An alert sign flashed. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission," shouted an officer. Mira quickly turned to face the screen, where an image appeared. It showed a group of alien leaders from different empires. Some were familiar, and some were not. They were known for their intelligence and often viewed humanity with both curiosity and disdain. The screen showed silence, as if they were caught off guard. "Humans." One of the aliens finally spoke, his voice echoing through the control room. "What have you done?" Mira swallowed hard. "We have demonstrated our new weapon. The railgun is now operational." Silence fell again. The faces of the alien leaders were a mix of surprise and concern. It was clear this was not the response Mira had expected. "For centuries, we have watched your conflicts. But you have crossed a line," an alien with shimmering blue skin warned. "This weapon changes everything." "Why?" Mira asked, seeking clarity on the heavy atmosphere. "Is it so terrible?" "It means you can harm us," another leader said, her voice icy. "We may be forced to act against you, but we don't want war. This weapon will protect us." Mira argued, not backing down. Just as she spoke, the communication system buzzed again. A new face appeared on screen, an alien they had never encountered before. Tall, with dark armor and piercing red eyes, this being spoke with authority. "This railgun signals a new direction for humanity. You have awakened ancient fears across the galaxy. The peace we had is now at risk." Captain Mira felt the weight of their words. She had hoped this weapon would bring security, not fear and mistrust. "We only want peace," she said firmly. "We want coexist." The tall alien regarded her for a moment, considering her words. "You must understand, the universe does not forget. Others may see your railgun as a threat. If we do not reach an understanding, you may find yourselves isolated, even hunted." As the communication ended, Mira turned to her crew, who were staring back at her with wide eyes. What do we do now? Jace asked, his voice tense with uncertainty. Preparation, Mira decided. We will send an ambassador to each alien empire to assure them and discuss the future. We are not monsters. We merely wish to defend our home. Days passed, and the USS Titan became a hub of activity. Diplomats, scientists, and ambassadors boarded the ship. They were preparing to meet with alien leaders, a task that weighed heavily on Myra's shoulders. The Railgun had drawn a line in the sand, and she hoped they could step back from it. Finally, the day of the first meeting arrived. In a grand hall aboard a neutral space station, leaders from various alien empires gathered. Mira stood at the forefront, next to Jace, representing humanity. As she looked around the room, she saw wariness etched on their faces. Thank you for coming, Mira started, her voice steady. I want to assure you that we do not wish to harm any of you. The Railgun is meant only for defense. An elder alien stood up, his voice resonating in the hall. This ship of yours posed no threat before, but now it is a weapon. How do we know you will not use it against us? Mira took a deep breath. You cannot. Trust cannot be demanded. It must be earned. Let us work together to ensure our futures are shared, not fought over. As negotiations continued, something remarkable began to happen. The representatives shared their stories, expressing fears and hopes. Slowly, the atmosphere shifted from hostility to curiosity. By the end of the day, they had agreed to a mutual assistance pact, promising to share technology and knowledge. Mira felt a rush of pride as she looked around the room. The silence that had once filled her with dread was replaced with the sound of discussions and laughter. Humanity's Railgun had changed the tone of the conversation, forcing them to confront their fears and find common ground. When Mira returned to the USS Titan, she breathed a sigh of relief. She had turned a moment of uncertainty into an opportunity for peace. The challenge had been great, but by facing it, humanity had stepped into a new chapter among the stars, no longer alone, but part of a bigger universe. In this sci-fi story, weave a narrative around the theme. When humanity fired its first railgun, every alien empire fell silent. Sci-fi Reddit HFY, with a balanced curiosity and climax. Make the story 1,000 words long. Maintain a default narrative perspective. Asterisk. The year is 2242. Humanity, after a century of tentative steps into the cosmos, stood at a crossroads. We weren't the strongest, the fastest, or the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy. In fact, we were somewhere near the bottom of the pecking order, tolerated mostly because we were too insignificant to bother with. Our little star system, Sol, was nestled on the edge of the Galactic Federation, a loose confederation of alien empires, each vying for power and resources. We were observers, traders, and sometimes, unfortunately, victims of their squabbles. Dr. Eris Thorne, a brilliant but eccentric physicist, was humanity's best hope. He wasn't a general, a politician, or a diplomat. He was a scientist, obsessed with pushing the boundaries of what was possible. His pet project, Project Thor, was the reason the galaxy would soon fall silent. Project Thor was a railgun. Not just any railgun, but a colossal, planet-based weapon designed to hurl projectiles at a fraction of the speed of light. It was a concept dismissed by the Federation as primitive and impractical. Kinetic weapons, they argued, were relics of a bygone era, inferior to energy weapons and strategic maneuvering. Eris, however, believed in the raw, unstoppable force of kinetic energy. They laugh now, Eris would mutter, pacing his lab on the lunar surface. But they won't be laughing when Thor strikes. His team, a motley crew of engineers, physicists, and mathematicians, shared his conviction. There was Anya Sharma, the pragmatic engineer who kept Eris's wild ideas grounded in reality. Kenji Tanaka, the quiet genius who could coax impossible performance from any machine. And Maria Rodriguez, the data analyst who could sift through terabytes of information and find the crucial needle in the haystack. The railgun itself was a marvel of engineering. It stretched for kilometers across the lunar landscape, a massive superconducting track powered by a network of fusion reactors. The projectiles were tungsten rods, each weighing several tons, designed to withstand immense forces of acceleration. The project was shrouded in secrecy, hidden from the prying eyes of the Federation. We knew that if they discovered what we were building, they would shut it down, deeming it a threat to galactic stability. But Eris and his team pressed on, driven by a desire to protect humanity, to give us a seat at the table, a voice that couldn't be ignored. The day of the first test arrived with a palpable tension. The entire team gathered in the control center, a subterranean bunker shielded from radiation and electromagnetic interference. Eris stood before them, his eyes gleaming with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Today," he announced, his voice echoing through the room, "we show the galaxy what humanity is capable of." Anya ran to the final checks, her fingers flying across the console. Kenji monitored the power levels, ensuring the fusion reactors were running smoothly. Maria tracked the trajectory of the projectile, calculating the impact point with pinpoint accuracy. "All systems nominal," Anya reported. "Power at maximum," Kenji confirmed. "Trajectory locked," Maria declared. Eris took a deep breath and placed his hand on the firing button. "For humanity," he whispered, and pressed down. The railgun roared to life, a silent, invisible force building within its superconducting coils. The projectile, a gleaming tungsten rod, was accelerated to an unimaginable speed, faster than anything ever created by human hands. It shot out of the barrel, disappearing into the blackness of space in a blink of an eye. The target was an asteroid, a lifeless rock millions of kilometers away. It was chosen for its size and distance, ensuring that the test would be conducted without endangering any inhabited planets or space stations. The team watched with bated breath as the data streamed in. The projectile was on course, its speed increasing with every second. The energy readings were off the charts, unlike anything they had ever seen. Then silence. "Impact in 3, 2, 1, Maria announced. On the monitors, the asteroid shimmered for a fraction of a second, then vanished. Not exploded, not shattered, but simply ceased to exist. The energy released upon impact had vaporized the asteroid, atomizing into a cloud of superheated plasma. The control center erupted in cheers. They had done it. They had created a weapon of unimaginable power. But the celebration was short-lived. A message arrived from the Galactic Federation, a curt demand for an explanation. They had detected the energy spike, and they were not pleased. Eris knew that they couldn't hide the truth. They had to show the Federation what they had created, to demonstrate its power, and to make them understand that humanity was not to be trifled with. He sent a message back, inviting the Federation Council to witness a demonstration of Project Thor. To his surprise, they accepted. A week later, a fleet of Federation warships arrived in orbit around the moon. The counselors, representatives from the most powerful empires in the galaxy, were on board, their faces grim. Eris greeted them at the control center, his demeanor calm and confident. He explained the science behind the railgun, the principles of kinetic energy, and the potential of Project Thor. The counselors listened in stony silence, their expressions unreadable. They had seen weapons of mass destruction before, but nothing quite like this. The sheer scale of the railgun, the raw power it unleashed, was unsettling. "Show us," the lead counselor, a reptilian being from the Xylar Empire, demanded. "Show us what this weapon can do." Eris nodded. "Of course." He targeted another asteroid, this one even larger and farther away than the first. He went through the same procedure as before, the same checks, the same countdown. This time, however, the entire galaxy was watching. News of Project Thor had spread like wildfire, reaching every corner of the Federation. Everyone held their breath as the railgun fired. The projectile struck the asteroid, and the effect was even more devastating than before. The asteroid didn't just vaporize. It created a ripple in space-time, a distortion that could be seen from light years away. The silence that followed was deafening. Then chaos. The Federation counselors were stunned into silence, their faces pale with shock. They had underestimated humanity, dismissing us as a primitive, insignificant species. Now, they realized their mistake. The Xylar counselor spoke, his voice barely a whisper. "What have you done?" Eris looked at him, his eyes filled with a steely resolve. "We have shown you that humanity is not to be ignored. We have shown you that we have the power to defend ourselves. In the days that followed, the Galactic Federation underwent a seismic shift. The balance of power had been irrevocably altered. The alien empires, once so arrogant and domineering, suddenly became cautious and respectful. Humanity, once on the fringes of galactic society, was now a force to be reckoned with. We had earned our place at the table, not through diplomacy or trade, but through sheer, unadulterated firepower. The galaxy had fallen silent, not out of fear, but out of respect.